Still working on the fundamentals of Publisher 2007, we need to talk about saving, because when you create a new publication or you work on an existing publication making changes, you need to save those changes. So the very first time you create a new publication in Publisher, obviously hitting the Save button will prompt you for a name, a location to save it, even a format. That is the equivalent to us opening an existing publication and choosing Save As from the File menu. So let's look at both of those ways. First of all, we'll need to open up a publication. So if you've already got Business Card 2A open up, you're all set. We'll go up to the File menu here, go to Open, and navigate to the Lesson 2 folder of your exercise files. There's Business Card 2A from the previous lesson. We'll give it a click and open. Alright, let's just make a minor change here. I'm going to change the area code for the phone number from 555 to something else. So backspace over the 5s, and I'm going to put in 800. And same thing for the fax. I'm going to put in 800, but I'm going to change the last digit here. I'm going to use 555 5556. Couldn't be the same as the phone number, could it? Alright, the email, everything else is fine. I've made changes. I'm inside a text frame here. You can see it's selected because I clicked in here to make changes. I'm going to click outside of it to deselect to see the finished product. Now, I need to save those changes. So, I have some options. Clicking the Save button here on the standard toolbar is going to update this publication, keeping the same name, the same location, but saving my changes. If I want to save it to a different format, or a different location, or give it a new name, I then need to use Save As. Now, as I mentioned, when you create a brand new publication and you come up to the Save button, you will see the Save As dialog box because it doesn't have a name yet. So let's go up to File and click Save As to see what that looks like. Alright, here's our Save As dialog box. If you've worked with any other computer application, this all looks familiar. You can see that the folder I'm saving to is the Lesson 2 folder of my exercise files. The name is Business Card 2A, and the type is a Publisher file. So this is a new Publisher 2007 format. So if I was to hit Save, I'd be prompted to replace the existing version before I change the phone numbers. Do you want to replace it? I would say yes, and my changes would be updated. I'm going to click No. If I wanted to save it to a different location or save it to a different format, and I could do that from here. So for example, if I want to save it to my Documents folder, I can click on Documents. Now I don't need to change the name because that particular publication does not exist here in my Documents folder. Now let's say I was going to be sharing this particular publication with someone else who has yet to install Publisher 2007. So they're working off an older version perhaps, or maybe they don't even have Publisher for that matter. Then I would need to save it to a different format, and we do that from the Save As Type drop down here. So we click this and check out the list. We've got quite a few options here. Publisher Files is right at the top. That's Publisher 2007. Publisher Template we're going to talk about later when we create our own template. But here are some older formats like Publisher 98, Publisher 2000. So if the person I was going to be sharing this publication with only has Publisher 98 installed, I would select this right here and it would show up in the Save As Type drop down. I'm going to click this again to go back to the list. I've also got Publisher 2000 here, Unicode, PostScript we're going to talk about later when we go to the printing section. I could save it as plain text, as a web page or a web page filter. We'll talk about that when we get into creating publications for the web. There's another text format called Rich Text or RTF. Microsoft Works or Word, and you can see the different versions of Word that I can save to here. So if the person I'm sharing with doesn't even have Publisher, no problem. They probably have Word, or at least an older version of Word. I've got graphic formats like GIF or GIF, JPEG, TIFF, and PNG as well. Here's another one, a bitmap option, device independent, meaning it doesn't really matter what I'm using and what I'm printing to. I'm going to have a graphic that will work anywhere. I have two metafile formats, Windows and Enhanced Metafile as well to choose from. So quite a long list of formats to pick from. So let's go back to our scenario where the person has Publisher 98. That's the one we want selected. We can keep the same name. We've changed the location by navigating to the Documents folder here. Now clicking Save will save our publication to that location in the new format. Now, because I've chosen Publisher 98 format, look at this. I get a screen tip here. This publication contains features that are not supported in the previous versions of Publisher. That makes sense. Are you sure you want to save this publication in that format? So it's not quite saved yet. I need to click yes to save it, and now I've got my updated version. You'll notice up here it still shows up as Business Card 2A, Microsoft Publisher, but look at this, print publication is what we see next to it. So I can close this up if I go to my file menu here. This is review from the last lesson. Click close. You'll notice now over here in my recent publications I've got Business Card 2A and Business Card 2A, but they are different sizes. So I know they're stored in different locations. As I hover over, you can see that this one's saved in the Documents folder. This one is in the Lesson 2 folder of my exercise files. So that covers saving your publications. Next, we're going to move into adjusting things like your page setup.